Hey guys, OG Albani here, and today we're going to be doing a video kind of talking about the new items that came out in the most recent Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailer here a couple days ago at this point, at the end of the World Championships and things like that, like the closing ceremony. They announced some pretty cool items, and they actually didn't announce one of them, which you can already see on the screen kind of there at the bottom. And I kind of want to talk about the competitive implications in singles competitive Pokemon, but more specifically even a little bit Draft League, which is something that I personally really enjoy doing. It's what most of the battling on this channel is about, which is a counter team format. It's drafting, you draft a team of Pokemon, you go up against other coaches throughout the season, you rack up some wins, you go into playoffs, and you hopefully win the championship, that kind of thing. But in general, we'll be talking about it really in a broad, general competitive singles sense. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's video and you enjoyed these Scarlet and Violet discussions, be sure to drop a like on the vid as well as sub to the channel if you do enjoy it. We're on our way to 2,000. We're also going to be giving away a copy of Scarlet and Violet to someone before the game comes out, since we hit 1,000 before the games come out. And yeah, I'd really appreciate if you help me hit 2,000 though. And let me know if there are any other discussions and things you'd want me to talk about when it comes to Scarlet and Violet, and let me know what you guys think of these items in the comments below. They're pretty interesting. I want to kind of start off with saying I don't think any of these are game-breaking in a singles perspective. Now, an item like Covert Cloak I think will be incredible in VGC, but that's not necessarily my area of expertise. So we're going to kind of talk about these things in a very broad single sense, and I think they're not as good, unfortunately, in that sense, but we'll talk about it a little bit. First up, we have Mirror Herb, which is an item that will allow the holder to mirror an opponent's stat increase and boost its own stats only once. So it is a consumable item, and if your opponent boosts their stats, you infinitely copy those, or you immediately copy those boosts. And that makes me think of Psych Up, the move Psych Up. Here, hold on. We can move to the team builder. I'm gonna kind of be dragging and moving things around. The first Pokemon I always think of is, I think, a Slowking with Psych Up, because I've used it to beat Reunicluses a bunch of times in draft. And Clefables and things like that. So Psych Up, again, copies a card, gets certain stat changes, except it's only on a one-turn basis, which isn't incredible, but it is cool in some niche instances. There are some cheesy things you could do with it. Like, I think I saw Badass Frostlass on Twitter, or he might even be on Discord, seeing him with like Unburden, the Mirror Herb, which isn't an item yet, and then like Swagger, which it probably isn't gonna work out because I don't know many leagues or many formats that allow Swagger, but you know, regardless, I think it's pretty cool. It could be awesome in some, like, really niche instances, really, especially in like a singles format. Now, maybe if like Dynamax was still around, it would be a little bit different. I don't know. I'm really not too big on this item, though. I think it's cool, and it's very anti-setup in some specific instances. Not allowing yourself to be Dragon Danced on in front of, or Swords Danced on. I don't know. I'm not super big on this item. I think it's a cool addition, but it's gonna be like the eject pack of this generation. Whereas it's a cool idea in concept, but very niche in application. This next one, though, I think is amazing. Now, I did kind of say, I think Covert Cloak, which they didn't actually show in the trailer for some reason, which I thought was pretty nuts. Covert Cloak is going to be incredible in VGC. It is a hooded cloak that conceals the holder, protecting from additional effects and moves. And you see they use the example of Hariyama using Fake Out and Cyclizar not being affected and using Dragon Claw immediately after. Now, I did see someone say something like, hey, what if that was a Sheer Force Hariyama and the item doesn't work, which is funny, but obviously that's not going to happen. I think that this could be really cool in a lot of different instances. Now, it's going to be incredible in VGC for Fake Out and different moves like that, but I think it's going to be a really nice addition to a lot of physical setup mons. Like, say I have a Dragonite. Dragonite's not a great example. Let's say I have a Haxorus, right? I have Haxorus in, and I'm Dragon Dance plus, Dragon Claw, Close Combat, and we'll throw in an Outrage, and, we're just cleaving through teams. And we can't find many setup opportunities. We need to get a couple Dragon Dances up. And we have enough bulk to live 2 Ice Beams or whatever it may be, but a Scald Burn is going to ruin us. We can kind of slap on that Covert Cloak, prevent ourselves from getting Scald Burned, which is incredible. Another Pokemon that really comes to mind, especially in a Draft League format. Now, again, this seems a little bit more niche to Draft League than it does like competitive singles in general. But say I'm playing against a Suicune, and I need to switch in something like a Tangrowth, and I don't want to be fully special on my Tangrowth. I want to be Seed Bomb, or I want to be Power Whip, or something like that, which obviously can switch in, break through Suicune even despite Calm Mind Boost, and threaten spreading it out and things like that. The only issue is Suicune is so potent because as it starts boosting up its special defense and its special attack and throws off and gets a Scald burn on something, it's really hard to break through with your grass type that switches in and takes that Scald, and that in conjunction with pressure PP stalling out kind of makes it to where this thing 1v1 checks. I think a Pokemon like Tangrowth or a Pokemon like Ferrothorn, which both have different ways of recovering themselves up, with Ferrothorn with Leech Seed, Tangrowth with Regen, right there, could be really cool with this kind of item, or Synth, or Leech Seed, and things like that as well. Being able to switch in on those water types freely, not risk getting Scald burned, it could be a really cool niche item on stall teams that really don't appreciate the passive damage of Scald burn, Sludge Bomb poisons, whatever it may be. That could be really cool. My G-King check might have this item because I don't want to get Scald burned or Sludge Bomb poisoned or something like that. So I think it could be really niche, or a really cool option in the instance of trying to facilitate setup and, you know, get your physical setup on in to do some damage. Maybe you're going up against a Zapdos and you don't want to get discharge paired as you're setting up, or things like that. So there's a lot of cool applications to this item, and I think it'll be pretty solid. Now, I did have a buddy, I think it was T-Row, who told me this is going to be a top 5 item in draft, and you can all laugh at me if you come back and we watch this video in 6 months and Covert Cloak is a meta-defining item like something like Heavy Duty Boots were. I just don't see it happening, but I do think it has some cool niche application. It'll definitely be a very solid item on a lot of different playstyles, honestly, and that's all we can really ask for. So I'm definitely excited about that. And then we have Loaded Dice. If a Pokemon is holding this item, use a multi-strike move, that move will be more likely to hit more times. And I think that is pretty cool. However, I don't know, I really don't like this item too much. We saw the example of something like a Breloom using it before, and in conjunction with that one mechanic that it has, the Terrestrialize mechanic, it makes sense why that would be pretty strong, right? But my only issue is, let's run a few calcs here, right? So let's look at a 3-hit Bullet Seed to this Abomasnow. It does 51 to 60, which is nice. This is Life Orb, Technician, Adamant, Breloom. We're not going to talk about, Mach Punch. You know, fine, we'll pick a neutral target. We'll pick a Gardevoir, which just like raw dice to this, so maybe it's not the best idea, but regardless, we have a Gardevoir taking 132 to 158. Now, let's take away this Life Orb. 132 is the mineral, 158. And then let's move this to 4 hits. It's about the same damage to move up 1 hit, and then 5 hits is the same thing, but then if we look at this thing, with the Life Orb getting 4 hits, it's exponentially more damage. So I feel like just tacking on a Life Orb, there might be a little bit more variance. He might be more likely to get that 2-hit Bullet Seed, but I think the upside of getting that 4-5-hit Bullet Seed is so much higher than getting like a much more likely 3 and 4 Bullet Seed, if that makes any sense though. So, but we don't know the odds of this yet, so I think that's going to be a big determining factor. Like, maybe if it makes like 90%, give you like a 90% chance, or even a 100% chance of getting a 5-hit Bullet Seed, maybe then I'll change my mind and I'll say, okay, that's a little bit worth it, because that kind of is, to be completely honest. Because there's no drawback of taking a Life Orb chip. You're guaranteed getting 5 and getting ridiculous damage off. Yeah, that might be worth it for sure. But regardless, I don't think that's a very I don't know, it's not a great item in my opinion. Now I heard some people saying triple axle with this item, and I just want to clarify because it kind of kept driving me nuts. Triple axle is kind of it's calculated a little bit differently than other multi-hit moves, in the sense that it's not like rolling a dice to see how many times you're going to hit said move. Like Bullet Seed, when you click Bullet Seed, it kind of like rolls a dice and you either get 2, 3, 4, or 5, and there's different odds for each of them. With triple axle, it has what? I think it's 90% accuracy. So let's look at a Pokemon that gets it. Sandshrew, because I know this is gonna kind of pivot into the item that I want to talk about. Triple axle is 90%. So each hit of triple axle is 90% accurate. So it calculates that accuracy every single time. So if you hit your move, if you hit those 3 90% accurate moves in a row, then it's going to hit 3 times in a row. If you only hit 2 times, that means on the 3rd time, you missed that triple axle. So an item like this wouldn't actually boost the odds of this, if I'm understanding how triple axle is calculated correctly. So it doesn't even really up the odds of that. If you want to up the odds of triple axle, this is actually the item that Sandshrew runs in Little Cup a lot of the time on the ladder. It's Wide Lens. Wide Lens makes it very, very likely for you to get those 3 hits with that 1.1 times boost. It makes it, you get pretty unlucky to miss that triple axle, at least a good amount of the time. So yeah, again, this is an item that I think is probably the least the most underwhelming out of the 3 that we got. I think Covert Cloak will have some great niche application. Mirror Herb, you might see a tech on every once in a while, and it might get doubles again. I don't have much of a doubles frame of reference, but I think Covert Cloak will be really, really cool for sure. Then lastly, I do want to talk about the terrestrial phenomenon, because we saw some pretty cool, neat tech here. The first thing we saw in the trailer, I'm going to go ahead and kind of move this guy over right here, is master using the terrestrial phenomenon in battle, and it says change your Pokemon's type and turn the table, which is cool. It shows T-Tar turning into a ghost type as this Scarlet tries to click CC, and it kind of like pivots in. I'm going to talk about Draft League really quick, because again, in a counter draft format, it's really hard to justify allowing a mechanic like this where you can change any of your 12 Pokemon to any 12 types. It's incredibly hard to prep and, you know, kind of function in a counter team format with that kind of ability. What I think is going to end up happening when we're first trying out this mechanic is I think that we're going to, 1, have like Terra captains or terrestrial captains, and 2, we're going to have to designate 1 or 2 types to them, because any Pokemon becoming any of the 18 types, while you know the opponent's Pokemon and what you are going to play that game, is incredibly hard to deal with. In singles, like in Smogon, things like that, I don't think it'll necessarily be super restricted, because you have to, like, you know, pick your Terra type before you're going into the game, right? And when you're going into the game, you can pick to Terra any of your Pokemon, but you're trying to kind of cover an entire metagame, and you're trying to cover the entire OU metagame plus the niche threats that may come up. Whereas in Draft League, I'm trying to, you know, counter the 9 to 12 Pokemon, and that makes my options almost limitless in the cool things that you can pull off. Cool, but unbalanced. So I think personally that in Draft League, Terra types will be limited to captains, 1 to 2 captains, and then 1 to 2 types or something like that, because it would just get overwhelming otherwise. But you see some cool interaction with it, like this one, making T-Tar immune to the move that would do about 700% to it, and this Colossal using the Terra typing of water to proc its steam engine without obviously taking 1,000,000% from Hydro Pump and just dying. So some pretty cool applications, and I'm sure there's a ton of fun combinations you could do in singles and in doubles. I think this will be awesome for doubles if you're a big doubles guy. Maybe I'll get into doubles this gen. I really want to compete in like in-person tournaments and things like that, which would be cool. But yeah, regardless, definitely cool. The big one, though, I wanted to talk about was Terra Blast. Terra Blast is a normal type move that can be learned via TM. When it is used by a terrestrialized Pokemon, it becomes a move of the same type as the Pokemon's Terra type and displays its immense might. Use it at the right moment to change the flow of the battle. Terra Blast inflicts damage using the attack or special attack stat, whichever is higher for the user. And this was the big one. I believe in the trailer we saw this T-Tar right here with the terrestrial ghost OHKOing the Glade. Now, there's a couple things I want to talk about. First, this is a pretty interesting move. It's basically Hidden Power coming back, but having a baby with Photon Geyser, which makes it pretty scary. Now, if every Pokemon could have any typing and it was Photon Geyser and the base power that we're going to talk about, what we think it's going to be around, it would be pretty darn nuts. It's pretty, that'd be pretty tough to deal with, but the fact that only really 1 Pokemon can use it per game makes it a little bit more balanced. I don't know about you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of Hidden Power. I was really excited when it was gone. I don't like my Volcarona being able to call upon the power of the ground and beat a Heatran. I don't like my Arcanine to, for some reason, be able to, you know, use water-type moves randomly. Now, if there's a mechanic behind it and there's like a phenomenon in the region that kind of explains it, it makes a little bit more sense thematically. And again, it kind of dumps it down a little bit, not in the sense that the terrestrializing is any weaker, but it's only 1 Pokemon per game, and I think that makes it a lot more manageable personally when it comes to, you know, how I see it at the very least. Now, I do want to show you guys, I forget who it was. It was someone, I'll try and pop their name up on the screen. If I forget, I apologize. It was somebody in the BBL server in the spoilers chat. They were kind of running the calcs on this stuff, right? And I believe these Pokemon were at level 50, so we're going to take a Tyranitar, or make it blank, level 50, or make a Glade blank at level 50 as well. Now, typically in these trailers, usually when people calculate things out, these Pokemon all have max IV, neutral natures, and 0 EVs in them. So that's something to keep in mind. Next, what we're going to keep in mind is that this thing is turning into a ghost typing. That's a Tyrantrum. Oops. I was like, Tyranitar isn't a... He isn't a... What do you call it? Oh, dang it. I took on that and ghost sets. Tyranitar. He isn't a dragon type. Okay, there we go. There's my boy. Alright, so we're going to turn into a ghost typing. And we're going to kind of calc out and see what this Terra Blast would be doing to a Mega Gallade if this is the case. So we're just going to turn Absorb. We are going to make it a physical move. We're going to make it Ghost typing. And I believe the calc that I saw, and we're going to kind of double check his math right here, is that if Absorb is a physical Ghost type move, anything below 70 base power becomes a roll to knock it out, like any even number, and they don't do 69 base power and things like that. Let's see, 65. Yeah, so if it's 65 base power, it is a roll. 70, it is a guaranteed Oko, and pretend this isn't Absorb, Okoing the Gallade, to Oko a neutral Gallade if we are also neutral and just kind of, even stats. So 70 base power makes about sense. It could even be something like 75. It could be even higher, but it's going to at least be 70 base power from what we are seeing if we understand these calcs and how they usually do these trailers correctly. Let me actually check something. That's 215 Colossal, right? Oop. Let's see. Colossal. Oop. Colossal. I am curious if that's actually how it is. 215. No, is that max HP missing? It's 236, right? Interesting. So maybe it isn't. We'll have to see, because that doesn't look, if it's a level 50 Colossal, level 50 Colossal does not hit 215 base HP unless it's at 236 EVs. So maybe I'm wrong, but from the information that I was kind of given, and kind of the information that I saw floating around, people were thinking it's going to be 70 base power. We will end up seeing, but that's definitely something interesting to know. Maybe I'm tripping. Somebody correct me on my math in the comments here. Maybe it's something completely different. I don't know. I'm not claiming to have the answers. It's all speculation, but I think it's really fun to talk about. Let me know what you guys think of the cool competitive aspects of this last trailer that we got. It was a pretty short trailer, but I actually really liked it. It got me all the more excited for this game, and yeah, I'm definitely super excited. Now, if there's anything in particular you guys want to see me do next when it comes to Scarlet and Violet speculation, theories, even leaks, if you guys are interested in leak videos and how that may look competitively and how those leaked Pokemon may look competitively, let me know in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, sub if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.